As NFL owners gather in Palm Beach for the annual spring meetings, the debate over the potential ban on the TUSH PUSH quarterback sneak has reached a fever pitch. The rule change proposal, spearheaded by the Green Bay Packers and championed by team president Mark Murphy, aims to eliminate a play that many say gives the offense an unfair advantage. However, not everyone is convinced that safety concerns justify such a sweeping change. One AFC executive dismissed the proposal by arguing that there's no compelling injury data to support a ban. If injuries aren't really happening, why change a rule just to address a perceived advantage? He remarked, noting that this kind of reaction would have been unthinkable in the early days of football, when the forward pass itself was once revolutionary. The controversy intensified as head coaches voiced their opinions. Buffalo Bills head coach Sean McDermott described banning the play as a proactive measure, even though his team still uses a version of the push. NFL Chief Medical Officer Alan Sills has also joined the discussion, weighing in on the potential risks of keeping the play in the game. In contrast, many coaches and executives argue that the tush push is simply part of modern football, a dynamic, if unconventional, play that teams like the Philadelphia Eagles have long relied on as a fourth and short weapon. A breakdown of team stances reveals a clear divide. 3 teams, namely the Bills, Cowboys, and Packers, lean toward banning the play. Meanwhile, 10 teams, including the Ravens, Browns, Lions, Texans, Colts, Patriots, Jets, Eagles, Buccaneers, and Titans, have expressed opposition to a ban, arguing that the play is a legitimate football maneuver. 3 teams remain on the fence: the Rams, Chiefs, and Steelers, each with nuanced positions that reflect both safety concerns and competitive fairness. As the vote looms on Tuesday, with 24 out of 32 votes required to pass the ban, the balance currently appears to be tipping against the measure. If as few as 9 teams vote against the proposal, it will fail. With emotions and opinions running high, the NFL's upcoming decision could have significant implications for how the game is played and how teams strategize for years to come. Get ready for a dose of accountability from Cleveland. The Browns owner Jimmy Haslam recently admitted that the team made a monumental error in trading for Deshaun Watson. A trade that, in hindsight, turned out to be a big swing and a miss. Once touted as a franchise quarterback, Watson's tenure in Cleveland quickly spiraled into a nightmare. On the field, his performance was anything but promising, marked by poor play and an 11-game suspension at the start of his Browns career following multiple accusations of sexual misconduct. Off the field, the controversy only deepened, bringing unwanted scrutiny and tarnishing the franchise's reputation. Even as injuries forced him out of action, like a season-ending injury last season, Watson simply couldn't live up to the lofty expectations. At the league's annual spring meetings, Haslam didn't mince words. Speaking to the media, he confessed that the Watson trade was a mistake, saying, "We took a big swing and miss with Deshaun. We thought we had the quarterback, we didn't, and we gave up a lot of draft picks to get him. So we've got to dig ourselves out of that hole. It was an entire organization decision, and it ends with D and me, so hold us accountable." These remarks come as no surprise to longtime observers who've wondered why the Browns kept starting Watson, despite the mounting evidence that he wasn't working out. With his contract, a 5-year, $230 million deal that's since been restructured, keeping him on the roster, the decision to stick with him felt like throwing good money after bad. Now, as the team faces the challenge of rebuilding and finding a true franchise quarterback, with the second pick of the NFL draft still looming but no commitment yet, the Browns are finally acknowledging the mistake. While former star Kenny Pickett remains a potential option, the looming question is whether it will take a year or 2 for Cleveland to figure out their quarterback plan. For now, the Browns are in the process of moving on from Watson, accepting that sometimes even the boldest moves end up as costly missteps. It's a hard lesson in NFL business, and one that the Browns are now at last ready to face head-on. Get ready for a gridiron debate that's heating up in NFL circles. It's all about the controversial tush push. With the NFL's annual owners meeting underway, discussions are buzzing over whether to ban the play that the Philadelphia Eagles popularized. And guess what? Injury concerns are at the center of the conversation. Multiple coaches are weighing in. Buffalo Bills head coach Sean McDermott is leading the charge by saying he wants to be proactive in banning the move to prevent player injuries. Pittsburgh Steelers head coach Mike Tomlin echoed those sentiments, saying he's seriously considering the player safety component of the play while keeping an open mind. Kansas City Chiefs head coach Andy Reid added that he'd be listening to the medical experts before making up his mind. Even Packers GM Brian Gutekunst supports the proposal, pointing to player safety as a key reason for banning the TUSH PUSH, a move initially drafted by the Packers themselves after tough losses to the Eagles. Not everyone, however, is on board. New York Jets head coach Aaron Glenn and Houston Texans head coach DeMeco Ryans took a different approach. Ryans pointed out that it's tough to punish a team for being really good at something, while Glenn stressed that a defensive-minded coach's job is to figure out how to stop the play. And, of course, Philadelphia's Nick Sirianni isn't shy about defending it. Sirianni has even rallied support from his coaching tree, calling on former Eagles coaches like Jonathan Gannon, Shane Steichen, and Kellen Moore to vote in favor of keeping the play. Now, a crucial reminder, while coaches are voicing their opinions, it's ultimately the team owners who vote on rule changes. For a rule to be adopted, at least 24 of 32 owners must be in favor. Amid all this, NFL Executive Vice President Troy Vincent has noted that there's no evidence that TUSH PUSH leads to more injuries. So much for the safety argument, at least from the data side. With the vote looming Tuesday and the NFL also considering other rule changes like playoff seeding and overtime tweaks, the TUSH PUSH remains the most contentious proposal on the table. Whether it's banned for safety or allowed to stay because it's simply a part of the modern game, one thing is clear, the debate over the TUSH PUSH is far from over, and its future could reshape how teams approach short yardage situations across the league. Stay tuned as we watch this saga unfold.
What's going on, Steelers fanatics? Your source for all the latest NFL news is back. And if you weren't already hyped about the possibility of Aaron Rodgers in the black and gold, this new information might just send you over the edge. We've got some major insider details about that throwing session with DK Metcalf, and it sounds like it was more significant than we thought. This video dives into a report featuring NFL insider Ian Rapoport on the Pat McAfee Show, who shed some light on the mysterious throwing session between Rodgers and the Seahawks star receiver. According to Rapoport, this wasn't a secret, spur-of-the-moment workout. It was planned in advance and went very well. This video emphasizes Rapoport's further clarification that while the Minnesota Vikings could theoretically make a late push for Rodgers, all signs are currently pointing towards him signing with the Pittsburgh Steelers. That's right, folks. The insider seems to believe it's just a matter of time. This video highlights a key takeaway from the throwing session. It was the first Steelers-related activity for Rodgers that wasn't shrouded in secrecy. Remember the leaked Pittsburgh Pirates merchandise and the visit to the team facility? Those seemed to be intentionally kept quiet. This video suggests that Rodgers might not have even tried to hide this practice with Metcalf because the writing might be on the wall. He could be a Steeler very soon. It's almost like he's subtly hinting at his next destination. So, Steelers Nation, are you ready for Aaron Rodgers in Pittsburgh? This latest insider information certainly adds a lot of fuel to the fire. What are your thoughts on this news? Let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more updates on the Aaron Rodgers saga and all things Pittsburgh Steelers. It looks like we might be on the verge of a huge announcement. What's going on, football fanatics? Your source for all the latest NFL news is back. And the Aaron Rodgers free agency saga just got a little more interesting. We've got a new report that might give Steelers fans even more reason to be optimistic. This video highlights a report from NFL Network's Mike Garofalo stating that Aaron Rodgers and Pittsburgh Steelers wide receiver DK Metcalf had a throwing session together over the weekend at UCLA. Now, Metcalf isn't currently on the Steelers. So what could this mean? This video connects this throwing session to the ongoing speculation that Rodgers is leaning towards signing with the Pittsburgh Steelers. While nothing is official yet, this could be another indication that Rodgers is building connections with potential future teammates. This video also brings in a report from ESPN's Jeremy Fowler, who states that the Steelers remain optimistic about landing Rodgers and are willing to wait for his decision. Fowler even suggests that Rodgers likely has some sort of assurance from the Steelers, or vice versa, that they could end up together. This video reminds us that Steelers head coach Mike Tomlin recently stated that the team has no specific timeline or deadline for Rodgers to make his decision, emphasizing their willingness to be patient and ensure it's the right fit. This video notes that Tomlin also mentioned the team is still evaluating other quarterback options through free agency and the draft, but their continued optimism about Rodgers suggests he remains their top target. So, what does this throwing session between Rodgers and Metcalf mean? While Metcalf isn't a Steeler, he plays for the Seahawks. It could indicate that Rodgers is already connecting with players who have ties to the Steelers organization or who he might be playing with next season. It's certainly another intriguing development in this ongoing free agency story. What do you think this throwing session means? Are you getting more confident that Aaron Rodgers will be a Pittsburgh Steeler? Let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more NFL news and updates. What's going on, football fanatics? Your source for all the latest NFL news is back. And the Aaron Rodgers free agency saga just got a little more interesting. We've got a new report that might give Steelers fans even more reason to be optimistic. This video highlights a report from NFL Network's Mike Garofalo stating that Aaron Rodgers and Pittsburgh Steelers wide receiver DK Metcalf had a throwing session together over the weekend at UCLA. Now, Metcalf isn't currently on the Steelers. So what could this mean? This video connects this throwing session to the ongoing speculation that Rodgers is leaning towards signing with the Pittsburgh Steelers. While nothing is official yet, this could be another indication that Rodgers is building connections with potential future teammates. This video also brings in a report from ESPN's Jeremy Fowler, who states that the Steelers remain optimistic about landing Rodgers and are willing to wait for his decision. Fowler even suggests that Rodgers likely has some sort of assurance from the Steelers, or vice versa, that they could end up together. This video reminds us that Steelers head coach Mike Tomlin recently stated that the team has no specific timeline or deadline for Rodgers to make his decision, emphasizing their willingness to be patient and ensure it's the right fit. This video notes that Tomlin also mentioned the team is still evaluating other quarterback options through free agency and the draft, but their continued optimism about Rodgers suggests he remains their top target. So, what does this throwing session between Rodgers and Metcalf mean? While Metcalf isn't a Steeler, he plays for the Seahawks. It could indicate that Rodgers is already connecting with players who have ties to the Steelers organization or who he might be playing with next season. It's certainly another intriguing development in this ongoing free agency story. What do you think this throwing session means? Are you getting more confident that Aaron Rodgers will be a Pittsburgh Steeler? Let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more NFL news and updates.
Woody Johnson dismisses Jets' poor NFLPA report card as totally bogus. The New York Jets are once again under fire, this time for their dismal ranking in the latest NFLPA report card. Dropping from 21st to 29th overall, the team received harsh criticism from players for a lack of commitment to improvement, a declining team culture, and even a worsening food program. Perhaps most damning was the F grade given to team owner Woody Johnson, who didn't hold back when responding to the report. "My first read is I think it is totally bogus," Johnson said during the NFL's annual league meetings. "I thought this whole setup, the way it was done, is all..." That's enough said on that. Johnson's frustration stemmed from the methodology of the survey, questioning how the data was gathered and from whom. "It's supposed to be a process where we have representatives and they have representatives, so we know it's an honest survey, and that was violated in my opinion," Johnson stated. The NFLPA's J.C. Tretter, however, pushed back against that notion, stating that players raised similar concerns in last year's survey, only to see things reportedly get worse. According to Tretter, players described the Jets' culture as a problem top-down and mentioned a culture of fear. Beyond culture issues, the team's food service came under scrutiny, prompting Johnson to defend the quality of meals provided to players. If they like souffle or fish or steak, they should tell us. If they're bored with the food or the way the place looks, let me know. I can't do anything if you don't tell me, he said. Our food is something I take a lot of pride in. This is the food I would want. It's the finest quality, best ingredients, no GMOs, the highest price for everything. The report card controversy comes amid other troubling reports about the team's internal operations. Just hours before Johnson's comments, news broke that the Jets had offered buyouts to 170 of their 250 employees earlier this month, a move that raised further questions about the team's stability. Meanwhile, on the field, the Jets continue to struggle. The franchise has now endured 9 straight losing seasons and hasn't made the playoffs since their back-to-back AFC championship appearances in 2009 and 2010. Last year's much-hyped Aaron Rodgers experiment failed spectacularly, and Johnson's leadership was further questioned following a December report claiming he nixed a potential trade for wide receiver Jerry Jeudy based on his Madden video game rating. As the Jets try to turn things around, Johnson insists that player relationships remain a priority. We want to be number one in everything, including on the field, but also off the field, he said. However, with a growing disconnect between ownership and players, as well as ongoing concerns about leadership decisions, the road back to respectability may be a long one. The San Francisco 49ers are buzzing with optimism as they work to finalize Brock Purdy's extension before the offseason really kicks in. General Manager John Lynch is confident that the deal is just around the corner. Brock wants to be with us. We want Brock to be with us, Lynch said, emphasizing that when both sides share the same commitment, things tend to fall into place. This optimism comes at a critical time for the 49ers, who have experienced delays in finalizing major contracts in recent years with players like Trent Williams, Nick Bosa, and Brandon Ayuk. Purdy, once the final pick in the 2022 NFL Draft, has quickly become a key figure for the team. Over his 3 seasons, he's posted an impressive 104.9 passer rating and played a pivotal role in leading the 49ers to Super Bowl LD. Although his numbers dipped from a league-best 113 rating last season to 96.1, his seamless fit in Kyle Shanahan's offense has left no doubt about his value. The challenge now is to determine his worth. Does he command a salary comparable to quarterbacks like Dak Prescott at $60 million per season? Or does he fall in line with the $55 million bracket seen with Joe Burrow, Jordan Love, and Trevor Lawrence? Signing a massive extension would radically shift the 49ers' salary cap dynamics. Purdy's rookie deal was an absolute bargain at just $3.7 million over 4 years, making this negotiation a huge leap into 9-figure territory. Both the team and Purdy have strong incentives to wrap up the deal quickly to avoid any potential holdouts or off-season distractions, especially in light of a disappointing 6-11 season. With his future hanging in the balance, all eyes are on the negotiations. The final numbers remain to be seen, but if history is any guide, once both sides commit, the extension will be done soon, ushering in a new chapter for the 49ers and giving fans a reason to be excited about what's to come. Shedeur Sanders, being selected at number 3 overall in the 2025 NFL Draft, is now looking less likely following recent NFL owners' meetings. Once widely touted as a top 5 prospect, Sanders' potential destination has become murky over the past few weeks, adding more uncertainty to an already unpredictable draft landscape. For much of the draft run-up, Sanders was primarily linked to the New York Giants, but recent reports have shifted the narrative. It appears that the Giants may have slipped down the totem pole after it was revealed that Sanders has scheduled workouts with both the Tennessee Titans and the Cleveland Browns. The Giants' own general manager, Joe Schoen, made remarks at the annual NFL owners meeting, suggesting that the team might even consider passing on the quarterback position entirely in favor of shoring up their defense. He hinted that the Giants could opt for one of the top defensive players instead, potentially even targeting Colorado standout and teammate of Sanders, Travis Hunter. This possibility isn't entirely out of character for New York. Given that many mock drafts have already been fading the Giants' likelihood of selecting a franchise signal caller, it wouldn't be entirely surprising if they decide to pivot their strategy. Whether Schoen was merely testing the waters or signaling a more definitive shift remains unclear. The Giants now find themselves as one of the wild cards in the top 10, capable of either selecting the best player available or taking a chance on a quarterback if the right opportunity arises. Meanwhile, the clock is ticking as NFL teams prepare for the 2025 draft. With the Titans set to make their move on April 24th, fans and analysts alike are eagerly waiting to see how these evolving scenarios will reshape the draft board and ultimately the future of their franchises. Mike Tomlin has finally spoken about the Steelers' pursuit of Aaron Rodgers, but his latest comments suggest that nothing is set in stone just yet. While many believed Rodgers would eventually land in Pittsburgh, the team's head coach made it clear they are still weighing their options. After a disappointing 2024 season, the New York Jets cut ties with Rodgers, releasing him as they moved forward with a new direction. While other teams have dropped out of the race, the Steelers remain the last serious contender. Rodgers even visited Pittsburgh earlier in March, spending around 6 hours at the Steelers' practice facility, meeting with coaches in what was described as a positive visit, according to ESPN's Brooke Pryor. Both sides agreed to stay in touch, sparking speculation that a deal was imminent. Yet, weeks later, no contract has materialized. During the NFL League meeting on Sunday, Tomlin provided an update, but it wasn't exactly the confirmation Steelers fans were hoping for. He stated that the team is still evaluating potential quarterback acquisitions and that while Rodgers' visit went well, no decision has been made. Rodgers, despite turning 41 this season, remains one of the top available quarterbacks. Last year, he threw for 3,897 yards and 28 touchdowns for the Jets, but the team struggled to a disappointing 5-12 record. The Steelers, having lost both Russell Wilson and Justin Fields in free agency, currently have only Mason Rudolph and Skylar Thompson on their roster, making their need for an experienced quarterback all the more pressing. So what's next? If Pittsburgh is still weighing its options, it suggests that Rodgers isn't a guaranteed signing and that the team may be exploring other moves. Whether this is a negotiating tactic or a sign of hesitation remains to be seen, but for now, Steelers fans will have to keep waiting for that final domino to fall. Good news for Steelers fans who have been yearning for a spark to revitalize the quarterback position. Intriguing developments are hinting at the possibility of veteran Kirk Cousins joining the team. While Pittsburgh still awaits a decision from Aaron Rodgers, a decision that appears increasingly unlikely as rumors suggest he might sit out 2025 or even consider retirement, the alternative scenario featuring Cousins is beginning to take shape. Currently, Cousins is with the Atlanta Falcons, serving as the backup to last year's promising first-round draft pick Michael Penix Jr. However, his future with Atlanta might be less secure than it seems. The Falcons' contract with Cousins includes a key provision that allows them to restructure his deal at any time. If they choose to do so, his base salary could drop dramatically from $27.5 million to just $1.255 million, while the difference is paid out as a bonus over 5 years. This restructuring would free up over $20 million in cap space, a move that makes financial sense if the Falcons truly intended to keep him for 2025. According to Pro Football Talk, if the Falcons were serious about retaining Cousins, they would have already reworked his contract to create additional cap space. The absence of such a move suggests that the Falcons might be open to trading him rather than locking him in for another season as a backup. Additionally, despite having a no-trade clause, Cousins would likely waive it if it meant escaping a backup role and securing a starting position elsewhere. For Steelers fans, this possibility could signal a major turning point. With Rodgers' future in limbo and the potential for Cousins to seek a fresh start, Pittsburgh may soon find itself in the running for a quarterback who can lead the team in a new era. Stay tuned as this evolving situation could redefine the Steelers' trajectory in the coming season.